Welcome to MiaSono. This video is about my 5-stage process of how to make music. My name is Chaos, and I'm here to show you the stages that I use in creating a song from start to finish. So let's get started. Now, stage number 1 is the brainstorming session. Stage 2 is arrangement of the track. Stage 3 is all about the flow of the track. Stage 4 is the mixdown. And then stage 5 is mastering. Now I'm going to break all these stages down and show you how I make my songs. Now I produce most genres of popular dance music, and this system works great for all of them. As you continue to make songs, this system will become easier and take less time to complete. Remember, the more songs you finish, the better you'll become at making them. Alright, stage 1 is the brainstorming session. In this stage, you'll create an 8 or 16 bar loop that will be the main part of your song. Now this loop will consist of all the primary elements that make up most songs you hear today. They are drums, bass line, chords, and the melody or lead. No matter what genre you're making, these things will most likely be in there. Some of you will create these from scratch by playing instruments, and some of you will use samples from sample packs. Now most beginners usually start with samples, so that's what we'll do today in this video. Most sample packs are labeled by genre and will be separated into various folders with the different elements of that genre. First, I have to decide what genre I'm making for the song. Then I usually start with my drums. After the drums, then I search for a good bass line. After the bass line, then I go for all the accompanying parts like chords and melodies. All of this will get layered inside this 16 bar loop. The samples I like stay, and the others get tossed away and replaced with other samples until I have the finished session that I want. Alright, here we have our Ableton opened up. That's the DAW I use. There are many different DAWs out there, and that's a different video, but Ableton's the one I prefer. Alright, so what I'm showing you here is a completed brainstorming session. But what I'll do though is I'll break things down and explain to you how it goes. Up here at the top, you see in the brown, these are our drum tracks. Kick, claps, and a top loop that goes over it. Got a little vocal here that I found. Here's a couple bass lines. Here's our chords in yellow. Here's one of our melodies / leads here in blue. And then the purple and pink is another melody and lead, and then a counter melody. So now what you'd normally do is like I said, I start with my drums. You start and go over here into your bass loops file, and then you just start playing loops until you find one that you like. When you find one you like, you drag it over here. I've already found some to save us a lot of time, because again, looking for samples can take hours. Sometimes you find it quick, sometimes you're just not inspired, it takes longer. But right now we've already got bass and drums turned on, so let's see what that sounds like. See, nice simple drums, simple bass line. Alright, now after this, what you would do is you would open up your next one, your music loops. Now you're starting to look for your chords and your melody and lead. So what you do is you can let that drum loop play with the bass of the drums, and then you just start clicking on loops that are in your key. Now as you see here on the loop for the bass in the green, it says bass, F sharp, 122 BPM. Now, of course, I label that as the bass, so I know what it is, and I can come back to it later, days, weeks later, still know what it is. The F sharp is the key that it's in, and the 122 beats per minute, that's the tempo of the track. Now, you've got a 16 bar loop here. For those of you that may not know what a bar consists of 4 drum beats. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. That's a 4/4 time signature, and that's what most of electronic dance music is written in, except psytrance. Now, of course, like I said, this could take a while looking for samples, because I have got millions and millions of samples that I could go through. What I've done here is I've already picked out the samples, so we don't have to go through that process. And now I'll go ahead and I'll play the chords that I got for you along with the bass and the kick. See, nice and subtle. All right, after that, you continue looking to find something else that goes good. Next up, I've got this nice pluck, which is going to be part of my melody/lead area. Here we'll listen again. Now that you've got those elements, I want to find something that's going to be lead. This is going to be the part that's going to kind of stand out most in the track. And I picked out three things. I've got a piano down here in the purple. I've got a MIDI element of that I played on a keyboard. And then down here in the pink, this is a counter melody. As you can see, you got one place here, one place here, one place here, one place here. So they'll go back and forth. Let's turn those on and we'll see what all this sounds like. As you see, all these elements sound good together because they're all in the same key. So I don't have to worry about transposing or making any changes. And now you see a completed brainstorming session. Next up, let's go into the arrangement of the track. Yeah, baby, yeah. Now we jump into stage 2, which is the arrangement of the song. Now with this, everything seems to follow a very simple formula, and that's no matter what genre of electronic dance music you're making. And this formula is intro, breakdown, drop, second breakdown, and outro. Depending on what genre you're making, these can be different lengths in time. But we're doing deep house on this one. So you've got about a minute of intro, 45 seconds to a minute of breakdown. Then you come into your drop. That's your meat and potatoes, the main part of the song. The drop is pretty much your 16-bar loop you made in brainstorming. And then you'll make a few changes in that as it repeats itself. You'll go into your second breakdown, and then you'll go into your outro, which will be about another minute to 2 minutes of song, like from the drop area, but then it will go back down to almost nothing as you're getting to the very end of the song. Now, with electronic dance music, you're trying to make things usually that are DJ friendly, because it's your DJs that are going to promote and play your music all over the world. So your intro is the area where your DJ is mixing from one song to the other song. So in your intro, things start progressively. They'll do something very light, like say maybe your drums and your bass line, or maybe your drums and your chords. And then every 8 to 16 bars, you're going to add something else until you get to about 30 seconds to a minute into the song. Then you're going to go into the breakdown. The breakdown, you're going to take things down to almost nothing and slowly build. This is where you're building all your contrast and stuff in your song. Now again, everything is going to change about every 8 to 16 bars. So you'll add a little bit more in your breakdown, a little bit more, and then at the end of the breakdown, you have a big build up with your effects and stuff, and then it goes into your drop. Your drop is where your brainstorming session was. So let's show you. All right, as you see here, we've got some of the song built out already. Over here where I just highlighted everything, this was your brainstorming session. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back over here to the beginning, and you can see where here I've got it started with the kick and the claps, and then I've got the bass line. Here in 8 bars, I bring in my pads, which is the chords. Another 8 bars, I bring in that nice little pluck, then I bring in the second pluck, and then we go into this area here. This area is known as the breakdown. The breakdown is also built progressively, then it goes into the drop. Let's play it and show you what I mean. All right, like I said, here at the beginning, you can see we've got our kick and our bass going. Nice, mellow, smooth, light for the DJ to mix in. Then we add another element. Here's the chords. Now right now, your DJ usually has 2 songs riding together, and then he'll mix out totally into this new song. Here we are, 8 bars, add another element. And all this, again, this is part of your intro. Now here at the end of 8 bars, we add our 4th element here. See, it's just another pluck, but now it makes that sound so much stronger. Now at the end of this 8 bars, we're going to go into the the breakdown, which goes down to almost nothing. Now again, this is where your push and pull system comes in with your song. Here another 8 bars, we got to add something. See, keeping everything nice and pretty. Into 8 bars, we're going to add something else. Sometimes in this little 3rd section of the breakdown, I like to put maybe a little drum beat or something over it, or maybe a break beat drum. Then we come into the 4th beat. I'm going to drop it back down to nothing again. Now what we're doing, we're going to have some effects and stuff that you'll see later when we're doing the flow, and it's going to build into what's going to be the drop. The drop is your 16-bar loop you made in Brainstorming. Now while this is playing, I'm going to show you exactly how we go on to the next part. Now what we'll do is we'll take something out. To save a little bit of time, I'm going to cut away and finish this track up, and I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back, and here we have a finished arrangement of the song. Now let me show you all the different areas. Like I said, here at the beginning, this is the intro part of the song. Here you have the breakdown. Here you have your drop. Here you have your second breakdown. Then you have your outro. Now again, your DJ's mixing in the beginning and the intro. By the time you get to the breakdown, he'll be totally mixed into this song. And then when you get to the outro, he'll start around here, and then he'll mix out of the song in like the last minute. Now again, as you can see with all the different color codings, everything changes because house music, or actually all electronic music, is very repetitive. So every 8 to 16 bars, you have a change. From the beginning, we started with drums and bass. Then 8 bars in, we add the top loop and the pads. 8 more bars, we add the plucks, another pluck. Then we go into our breakdown. First part of the breakdown, second part of the breakdown, third part of the breakdown, fourth part of the breakdown, each of those 8 bars each. Then we go into the drop. The drop goes all the way to your second breakdown. Your second breakdown, here again we have the first 8 bars, second 8 bars, third 8 bars, fourth 8 bars, and then coming into your second drop / outro. Then from here you can see it just every 16 bars there's a change until you get to the end of the track. Now that you've seen the arrangement, let's move on to stage 3. Welcome to stage 3, or what I like to call the flow. Now in this, we're going to be adding our effects to our song so that people will see where the breakpoints and stuff are, and it helps the song just flow right along. Alright, now again, in electronic dance music, everything repeats. Pretty much all genres of music, everything repeats. Now, in most songs, it changes something about every 16 bars. Now, I showed you earlier on the track that in the beginning, we're changing everything every 8 bars till we go into the breakdown. In the breakdown, everything is set up into 8 bars in 4 sections because I don't want the breakdown to be too long that people get disinterested in the track and leave the dance floor. Now, once you get into your drop and your outro, Then everything changes every 16 bars. And now you find these major breakpoints by listening for the effects. Now every 16 bars, when I make a change, I like to use a crash cymbal, and then I'll use something called a riser or an uplifter that's going up just before that crash. Here, let's jump into the program and I'll show you what I mean. Alright, starting up here at the beginning, these are crashes. It's just a crash cymbal. Here's another one. Now as you see, these are spaced out here at the beginning, 8 bars, 8 bars, and then 16 bars. Once we come into the breakdown, there's one every 8 bars. That way you know each different section of the track when something is changing. Once you get into your drop, here you go, every 16 bars. Second breakdown, every 8 bars. Ending, every 16 bars. Now, these other 3 rows here, these are some impacts. An impact or a stab you can use in any place. I like to use them in my breakdown to give more emphasis when the breakdown hits. So you'll have a crash cymbal and then like an explosion kind of sound. You'll boom. And then it's nice and pretty with the music. And then again, everything builds progressively until you get to the end of the breakdown where you're building big into your drop. All right, now we're not going to play this now. We'll wait and do that later. But I want to show you some of the different things. These are called risers or uplifters. These you put in just before each major breakpoint, which is, you know, the 16 bars. Then here's a big one just before the breakpoint. See the builds and builds anticipation. Then see you heard the crash along with those impacts. Now here we are in the breakdown. 8 bars, something changes. So we have a little riser or uplifter and a crash. Here we brought in the little piano part. Then here before section 3, you'll have another little riser, another impact and crash as we add a few more things. Now coming here into the 4th section, another little riser, another crash. Now some of you guys, you might make 4-section breakdowns, you might make 2-section breakdowns. That's entirely up to you in the way that you want your track to go. And here we are on the drop, another impact, another crash. And then again, everything will change every 16 bars now. Now, again, everything is up to you how you want to create your track. My system here, I follow off checking what other other producers are actually making. This is the way most producers do it, changes about every 16 bars, and I call these changes major breakpoints. So at each of those breakpoints, you're going to have the riser, you're going to have the crash, and again, that's just my personal preference on how I like to do it. You might like to do it a different way. The main thing is to try and remember that there is no right and wrong. What you produce is what you feel. These are just general guidelines for you to follow. Now you've seen the flow of the track. Now let's go move into stage 4, where we talk about the mixdown. Welcome to the final stage before we master the track. This is the mixdown. Now in the mixdown, we're doing all our final little tweaks on each individual part to make sure everything sits well in the mix, everything can be heard well, and the song gives the energy and feel that you want it to have. Now, first we're going to do a little talk about frequencies. Now, for those of you that don't know, bass, mids, highs, those are all just different frequencies of the song, okay? Now, what you want to do is you want to try to EQ those things to stay in their general frequencies because the more that they overlap, the more muddy the song will sound. So if your bass has a bunch of bass and high in it, then the highs might muddy up your lead and melody stuff. So what you want to do is on each individual track, we're going to add an EQ and a compressor. Now, sometimes you have to do this, sometimes you don't. I prefer to do it every single time because that way I can EQ the frequencies out and make sure that nothing is making anything else sound muddy. So let's take a look here. Here on the bass, you can see I've got an EQ8 here and a compressor. Now I've also got the compressor side chained to the kick drum. That way every time the kick drum hits, it will bring that bass sound down just a little bit so that kick comes out stronger. That's what's known as side chaining. Sometimes you'll need to side chain to something, sometimes you won't. It depends on what you want to be the most prominent and easily heard part of your track. Now again, on your frequencies, your bass frequencies is going to be down here at the low end of the spectrum. As you see here on the EQ8, I've got it set up down here on the low. Let's play it for you so you see what I'm talking about. We'll just solo this. Now as you see, these are the lower frequencies down here. Up here I've got it cut off where it doesn't play into those. But now let's check out the pluck. See, the pluck is here in the mid frequencies. So I've got the lows cut off and I've got the extreme highs cut off. Up here on the piano part, kind of the same thing. In the middle, this is the second piano part, kind of the whistle. It's up in the upper registry, so I've got the high frequencies going and the bottom frequencies cut out. Now the way you do that is just by manipulating the EQ. Also, you'll see on here all these little red lines now. These red lines are the automation of the track. Now what that means is I've got these that you see are changed set to the track volume. Where it comes down and dips here, that means that right here at the end of this, just before the breakdown, I'm bringing the volume of these two items down so that they just kind of slowly, lightly fade out before the breakdown comes in. I'll show you what I mean. Take a listen. Now here it's playing normally, then right here at the end you'll hear the pluck start to fade out. And that's manipulating it with the track volume. You'll notice that I do that on a lot of the more prominently heard parts, your leads and melodies. I've got it here, here in the breakdown. Here I'm just changing where I want this pluck to play a little louder than this pluck. So I've got this one going up in volume and I've got this one going down in volume. That creates a little bit of contrast and energy in that pluck sound to where it doesn't sound the exact same all the way through the track. Gives it a little bit different energy. Now if you come over here into the second breakdown, you can see right here at the end, I've got the pluck coming way down, so it's going to slowly fade out. Then up here, I've got my riser and my kick drum, because I brought this down to just the kick drum and the piano part that's going to come in. Let's play that for you so you can hear what I'm talking about. This is the third part of the second breakdown. Brought in this piano down here. Now I'm going to use the kick over here in the fourth part to create a real good build-up along with the riser above it. Now listen, it's going to go up while the pluck goes down. That is pretty much your mixdown process. Woohoo! You have made it to the fifth and final stage, which is mastering. Now, mastering can be a big can of worms, but it can also be pretty easy too. I'm going to show you the easy way to master. A lot of producers, especially the bigger ones, have real expensive plugins and toys that they use. but I'm going to show you the way to use it with the plugins that are already built into Ableton. And all it is a 3 simple process. We're going to use an EQ, and a compressor, and a limiter. With those 3 things, you can master your track up to standards to be released on any label, for you to put on SoundCloud or somewhere for people to hear it. Basically just a general mastering. So let's see. Alright, coming over here, we're going to grab an EQ8. Then we're going to grab a compressor. Then we're going to grab a limiter. Alright, first of all, let's turn all 3 of these off. And we'll jump in here to where the drop is. And first I'm going to play it to you as the song is without any mastering. Now if you notice over here on the master, it's showing everything in red. That's because it's too loud. Everything sounds good, but it's still a little bit too loud. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump back into our master, and we're going to turn on our EQ, we're going to turn on our compressor, and we're going to turn on our limiter. Now the limiter, normally depending on what kind of music you're playing, you might want to boost the gain just a little bit, but you want to set your ceiling at 0.1 to 0.3 dB. Now what that is, that's going to take you just up to the peak without going over the top. Now that's going to give you a nice, good, clean sound. If you go over the top, your song can start distorting and it might sound like crap. You don't want that to happen, especially when you're mastering it. So now we're going to play it again and you'll see the difference. Notice over here, fully green, no extra peaks, no distortion. Now you can see here on the EQ, you can see the bass is boosted up pretty high. Now if you wanted to, and you thought that something didn't sound correct, you could always boost your bass more here. You could always boost your highs more. I think I'm going to boost my highs just a little bit. All right, I think that sounds good. And yes, just that simple, your song is now mastered. I want to thank everyone for taking the time to go through this class with me. I definitely hope it helped, especially all you beginning producers out there. I want to show you the road and the way to get started. Make it easy for yourselves, because again, the more times you do this, the easier it'll be, the less time it'll take you, and the better your productions will be. So if you like this video, please take a moment, hit that subscribe button down there, click the little bell so you get your notifications about it, and of course like this video. Now for those of you, if you enjoyed the song and you like the song, I'm going to give it away for free. Down in the comments, there's going to be a link for you to get to my SoundCloud. You'll be able to download it for free off my SoundCloud. So again, I want to thank you very much for tuning into this video, the 5 stages on how to make music. Now you know how to make songs. Get out there, create, and go wild. Thank you very much. I'm Chaos from MiaSono. We'll see you next time.